Freddy with FreddyCanFly, and in today's video I wanted to go over and highlight some of the benefits and features of the AccuRc Precision Simulator. Essentially, guys, with a simulator, we all know the importance of not only graphics, but stability and the way that it actually feels. Now, I only fly helicopters, but the simulator, of course, offers all different variations of models, airplanes and drones and all that. So we are looking at this from a helicopter aspect, but please keep in mind, if you do play around with some of the other platforms, this offers it. A couple of the highlights and benefits and features I want to look at with this particular simulator is going to be the first one, which I really love how they have this, but it's an on the bench mode. So if we go over here to our tab, Workshop, we'll start there. And it's cool, guys. Is it necessary? Does anybody really need to be able to put a fake model on a bench, change the colors and everything inside? Do they really need it? The answer is heck yes. I absolutely love the feature. It would be nice, I will say, as we get into this, that I wish in AccuRc they could pump this up a little bit more. Maybe let us as the users customize our own, canopies or, put some logos or stickers on things. Also, the room that it's in. Heck, I wish I could decorate the room a little bit. Maybe put some FreddyCanFly stickers up on the wall or something. But other than that, let's enter into it here. You can see we've got the on the bench mode activated, or Workbench Workshop, whatever you want to call it. Right now I'm using the Goblin machine. Now you can zoom in, zoom out, you can do pan arounds, and they've got the lighting and the graphics just spot on. I really, really enjoy that about it. I think one of the things that kind of tripped me out the most was the fact that it actually responds collectively with everything as well, cyclic and collective. So you can actually see my pitch and everything moves in conjunction with my radio sticks. I thought that was pretty dang cool and just a really nice touch to add. Visually, really all it does is just give you something to look at, but also you can set up, we'll go into the pitch gauge here in a moment, you can see that you've got pitch options too. So this mode in particular, guys, it lets you kind of customize the machine, but it also lets you add some of the more customized fillable options like collective pitch, your RPM settings and things like that. So let's take us a quick look here. We've got our selectable options here where it'll let us position the blades the way we would like. This will come into play with, of course, when we do the pitch and everything. But you can also set it to just this really cool, nice, slow spin mode, show off for your friends, things like that. You have different toggles for different views of the machine. I think this is kind of cool too. I mean, they have this stuff down to a T as far as placements and everything. It's pretty cool. So that'll be our skeleton view, just kind of bare bones. This we'll get into here in a moment, but on visual TX or transmitter, you can see it shows all of my inputs and everything over here on the right, which if calibrated appropriately, you guys should already know what this does. It does let you go in, endpoints, sub-trims we probably really won't mess with, reversing. Gain mixing is a good one. Here you can play around with for things like bobbles, your head locking mode, governor RPM adjustments, things like that. Tail curve, again, should really not have to be played with. And pitch curve, by all means, I mean, if you feel like you need to, go for it. But typically, those will all just remain linear. You could use a little pitch curve toggle and play around with it for sure. So let's go ahead and disable that here. This one here, I think, this one just shows us the actual sticks. Don't really need that one right now. I like this here, though. We can take the canopy off, export our model, show it off a little bit. Pretty dang sweet. And also you can turn the pitch gauge on and off. So I'm going to leave the canopy off for a quick moment. Let's play around. Let's go into the customization here real quick. And let's say I want to do a different set of... let's go with the motor. Let's say I want to swap out the motor. We'll go ahead and click on it and click change. Now take in mind, from what I can tell, changing the motor doesn't physically change performance. I could be wrong. But from what I've noticed, it just gives you something funner to play with. So let's say we just throw on the Contronics Pyro motor, because I'm a big fan of that one. Boom. That looks good. Like the way it looks. I'll go ahead and click apply. And now we've got a new motor. I mean, it's that easy, guys. You can go into your main rotor blades, and it'll profile them, or at least what they have thus far. Nice selection of main roller blades and everything you can choose from. Let's go with the halos. I really like halo blades a lot. So, I mean, everything down to the servos, the pinion, everything, guys, you can customize in here, and it should have some sort of an optimal effect on the machine. For now, I'm going to leave that as is so I don't talk your guys' ear off. But a cool factor here is if we toggle the canopy on, and we go over here to actually fly, the canopy will be on. If I want the canopy off, I can go right over here. I can toggle this off, and it'll actually leave the canopy off. So I thought that was a really cool and fun feature. Let me jump in real quick here to the this guy here. Let me look at this. So with the spectrum, I think all these stay the same too. Yeah, these don't really let you do too much. So we'll leave all that stuff as is. Battery packs look good. Now here's something cool, guys. Click on your ESC. Of course, right now we can change it. We're using the Contronic Cosmic. Let's go with the Hobbywing 200 amp. Let's switch it over to that real quick. It'll let me actually select my governor settings in here. So RPM 1, RPM 2, RPM 3. You can go ahead and adjust these up and down to whatever liking you might have. Let's say we want to go 2150 here. Crank it up, get a little bit more jazzy, 2150. Let's bump this one up to 1850. Right there. And we'll just leave the low end at 14 because we don't really use it too much. So boom, there we go. ESC's kind of been set up and played around with. Now they do offer some color schemes down at the bottom, but it keeps everything still uniform. It just changes out the color, if you will. So I just really wish we had a little bit more customizing, but I do understand that what we have now is about as good as it gets. So I'm not going to complain about anything. Don't fix it if it's not broken necessarily. But yeah, and then again, guys, you can go in actually and play around with the pitch settings and everything. Let's see if we can get our pitch gauge over here. You can actually go into where you can see what number's on the pitch. How do we do that? Do we go into blades? Let me see here. I know there's a way to do that. Anywho, you can play around with it. Again, I don't necessarily know how relevant it is, just besides changing things like your collective control, which I know you can also do outside of the workbench. So let's throw that. We'll keep the canopy off for a minute. And let's go into the fly mode setting. I want to go over the next benefit and feature outside of the workbench mode. Again, feel free to play around and explore as much as possible in there. There's a lot to do. But I wanted to talk about the next feature that really got my attention, and it actually has to do with the rotor disc itself. You can see that it swapped out my motor, right? It gave me the new halo blades that I had selected on there. And right now, the way the rotor disc looks, you can see that it's got a bit of a blur to it. Some people prefer the rotor disc blur to look like that. But AccuRc also added another feature where you can do a more, I want to say it's more of a realistic rotor disc because it'll actually show the rotor load. But let's look at the blur mode here for just a moment. And you can see everything looks really good. It's hard to sense load unless you're really listening to the sound. The sound's not perfect, but hey, what sim has the sound perfect, right? But essentially, no matter what RPM I fly at, you're always going to see just the blurred vision. Whereas, if I wanted to try to do this other mode we'll look at here, let's go into settings, right? System settings. And right under graphics, they have this setting here, rotor disc blur. If I disable this, I flew like this for quite a while, and I relatively enjoyed it. You're going to notice a big difference here. You'll notice that when I do certain maneuvers and things like that, it'll actually bog down. So it almost has like a lower shutter speed, if you will, like on a real machine. It's hard to say. I like it because it lets me feel more of the collective control for some reason. Now, if only the sound had a little bit more load down on it, then it would feel that much better. However, I don't know. It's just, I think it's a personal preference option, but I'm glad that they have it because I haven't really seen that with most other sims. And when I'm practicing things like my TikToks, I like it because in real life, when you load up that motor, I mean, your blades do kind of have that little, diluted shutter speed look to it, if that makes sense. Sorry, it's kind of a hard one to describe, but so that's one of the other features I really like, guys. Play around with that. See which one you prefer. I like to play around with both. Depends on how I'm feeling for the day. But I think they both work really great. It's just a cool additional feature that they've added. So let's go ahead and take a look at the third feature that I really enjoy about this. And we'll do a little more flying. Alrighty, guys, so let's get into the bread and butter of just about any RC simulator out there. Taking in mind with this one in particular, again, it does have some fun little training exercises and things that you can do. I'm not going to get into those as much because, again, I'm focusing on the RC helicopter aspect of the program, which, me as a consumer myself, is all about them models. And these guys have a great selection of models you can choose from. They are being updated continuously, which I think is fantastic that they stay on top of all that. Let's narrow this down real quick and let's jump into just my helos here. And I mean, let's just take a quick look. I'm not going to go over every one or anything. You guys can feel free to do that. But I mean, you have things like the 130X, good times, right? We've all had good times with that little guy. Original Goblin, taking you back to the day. Of course, the new Krakens, which are all the craze out there, the Kraken craze, those are available for you to fly. I love that they have the Nitro. I think the conversion kit's either out or is coming out very shortly. Love it. Love the death. Logos, they got logos. You got the Protos, Synergies. I mean, it goes on for days, guys. You can't forget the Align models, even the new X 700X, which is fantastic. Every model, it's hard for me to say because everybody might say, hey, let me try the Synergy E7. If I like it, I might buy it. Not the case. I think the thing that's very hard for people that make these simulators is they try to make these machines outfit in the way they feel, as similar to what it might feel like to fly the real machine. However, I feel like it's impossible because everybody likes something different. So my best recommendation is pick the machine you like the look of or the one that you prefer. I mean, let's try the 700X. So I'll go ahead and select this bad boy. So this right here, again, I can go workbench mode on it, or we can just fly. Let's go ahead and fly it. It's going to feel completely different than my Goblin Thunder that I was previously operating because I had that one dialed in within the settings of the program to my particular liking. So this one may feel completely different for me, but let's give it a try. Let's just see how it feels. So all my controls should still be, unilateral. Everything should be the same. Let's go ahead and lift her up. Oh yeah, the pitch already feels pretty dang torquey on it. Let's try it out though. Let's see how she feels. Not bad. Oh, I'm not in the right idle mode. That's why. Should probably be careful for that, huh? There we go. So actually, you know what? This one here feels pretty good. I'm not minding it so far. I have my rotor disc blur off. You guys can see that. So the Align feels pretty dang good. I don't mind it at all. It actually feels decent. Let's get a couple moves in here. Woo! It is way touchy though compared to what I usually fly, you guys. So I'm probably a little bit all over the place. So yeah, that one feels good. Let's try selecting another model real quick. Let's just kind of play it out. Let's try an auto rotation. As a fourth and final feature, guys, I will say the auto rotations on these are pretty dang good. Again, that's got to be a hard thing to get as a simulator. They're not bad. I mean, I think it beats Phoenix RC for sure. Not to make this a battle about other simulators, of course. I'm not that kind of guy. But I do think that they nailed the sounds and the realistic feeling of the auto rotations very well. Could probably use a little bit here and there, but out of all the sims that I've tried, I think it works the best. So let's put it that way. That's why I'm flying this one, and that's why I stick to it. So let's try it Nitro real quick before we close it out. I highly encourage you guys to try as many models as you feel free to do so. You might find that you like some over the others. I am a big Nitro guy in real life. I mean, I prefer Nitro over... Let's see, that doesn't feel too bad. I prefer Nitro over electrics all day. This one's got no power at all. There we go. Let's see. Let's try my idle up. I always like to try that low RPM mode. There we go. That's not too bad at all, you guys. That feels pretty good. The sound of the nitro that they got isn't too bad. Again, I just wish there was a way possible that they could capture more rotor disc loading. It would really help people with, especially nitros, with holding TikToks and not overloading, because that's the most common problem with nitro versus electric. Electrics are raw power. You know, you've got those nitros. That motor's got to be able to breathe a little bit. So, um, other than that, guys, I mean, that basically sums it up. I mean, that's my experience with AccuRc. I'm going to be starting the Freddy's Flight Academy remake videos here very shortly. Now that I've had more years under my belt and a lot more experience, I feel like I can help with a lot of the questions that I get asked on a daily basis. And I've got a lot of really good new ideas, guys, for some new content. So make sure you like and subscribe. Let's shoot us another auto, and I will see you guys on the next video. Let's try an inverted auto just for the heck of it. I might crash it, but let's give it a go. Oh, oh, oh. Woo! Sketchy. Alrighty, guys. Remember, Freddy can fly, so can you. Thanks for watching.